Hello, and welcome back to my channel, Talented Reads. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about all of the books that I read in July. In the month of July, I read a total of 16 books and a total of 5,561 pages. Now, if you've been following me, you'll notice that this is the first month I haven't hit my 20 books a month goal. That's fine. I'm fine. It's okay. It's fine. I will make it up, I'm sure. Moving on. My average rating was 3.6, pretty average month. I read 2 ebooks and 14 physical books. For star ratings, I had 1 5-star, 6 4-stars, 4 3.5 stars, and 5 3-star books. I read 5 new releases. These are books that came out this year. 1 not so new release, which are books that came out last year. 8 backlist books, which are books that came out 2020 or prior. And 2 ARCs, which are advanced reader copies for books that are coming out later this year. So let's get into all the books. I'm doing a horror challenge this year in which I read a group of books associated with a specific subgenre of horror. I will do a dedicated horror wrap-up video next week, so let's just talk through those really quick here. First is Zone 1 by Colson Whitehead. A pandemic caused by the plague has devastated the world, and a group of armed forces is attempting to rebuild Zone 1. Next is Cell by Stephen King. Here, society has been upturned by an event known as the Pulse, when a virus gets transmitted to every cell phone. Those answering their phones get infected. The Reapers Are the Angels by Alden Bell. This follows young teenager Temple as she is on the run from zombies, her past, and humans aimed at killing her. And lastly is Survivor Song by Paul Tremblay. This is about a pregnant Natalie and her friend Dr. Ramola, or Rams as she is called in the book, navigating through a zombie-like apocalypse, trying to get Natalie to a hospital in order to deliver her baby safe and sound. Alrighty, let's run through the 2 arcs that I had. First is The Devil Takes You Home by Gabino Iglesias. Mario, buried in debt and struggling, decides to do something drastic and takes a job as a hitman. And as the need for money increases, he decides to do something more than hitman and signs up to hijack a cartel's shipment along with 2 occupants. But he gets more than he bargained for. Okay, so I have to admit this really surprised me. I don't typically like to read crime books that are kind of, mafia, like drug cartel type books. And so, when I signed up for this arc, the blurb that I read didn't kind of allude to any drug cartel. So when I got the arc and started reading it and realized that's what it was about, I almost thought about DNFing the book. But, it had the mention of the devil in the title. And there was this little tease of horror that just had me intrigued enough to keep reading. And horrifying it is. Mario goes on a journey that is far more than just a drug run. He experiences like something of the supernatural sort. There are things in this dark tunnel that the book never really explains. But I think that's okay because it adds this layer of mystery to this already atmospheric book and just makes it all that more intense. There's a lot of paranoia and madness and deception that you as a reader just can't help but get caught up in. And the ending, oh, perfection. Now, one gripe that I have, which I was trying to ignore, but it came up so many freaking times, is this whole money thing. So, obviously we know that Mario gets caught up in all of this as a way to make fast money to pay off debts. And the book kept dropping these little hints along the way of something bigger and that, he needs to do this because it was going to be this significant amount of money, and it kind of kept repeating that several times. And then it's kind of revealed that it's like $200,000, and I couldn't help but laugh. I was not expecting, it just seems like such a low amount. Now, hear me out. I'm not rich by any means, right? And I would definitely take $200,000 if I had the opportunity. And that is a lot of money, but to say how it's so much money that it's going to just solve all your problems and you can retire and pay off all this medical debt and find a really nice house to live in just like through the end of your days. Like, come on, it's not that much money. I mean, have you looked at the housing market? I mean, I don't even think you can find a house for $200,000, let alone for less than that, and have all this extra money. Like, medical debt itself would be probably close to that, especially since they made a comment in the book that he didn't have any insurance. Like, come on now, it's just unrealistic to me. If you're going to create a story that has some big go big or go home moments, like, make the money good. You know what I mean? Anyways, that was my only thing. But, thank you to Nat Galley and Mulholland Books for the art. Second is Daphne by Josh Malerman. We follow a basketball team who all decide to kind of spend the night together as a hurrah right before a big game. And of course, when friends get together, they decide to tell ghost stories. And that story is about Daphne. Daphne went to the school many years before and has died under mysterious circumstances, making her a kind of local legend. And then, one by one, the girls start disappearing. So, this was just okay. This is one of my most anticipated reads for the year. I do love Josh Malerman. I will always pick up and read his books. I thought the cover was fucking amazing. And I really wanted to like this. I thought it was just going to be a really good summery slashery novel. I just didn't feel any of that scary tension that I was hoping for. The story mainly follows Kit, and there are chapters which are supposed to be like journal entries. And honestly, like, I freaking hated those chapters. It was just very disjointed. It seemed like Josh Malaman was just trying too hard at being in the mind of a teenager. Now, with that said, Daphne as the character was pretty scary. Like, she was just this monster of a person, which I can just imagine, like, seeing this monstrosity, like, coming at me, like, knowing that I'm gonna die. I mean, that's just, like, horrifying. And, you know, with all things horror, I'm always expecting a big showdown, but in this case, it was more like a little showdown with some good old basketball fun. Not my jam. But thank you to NetGalley and Ballantine Del Rey Books for the art. Alright, let's get into the physical books. Hidden Pictures by Jason Rikulik. This is about Mallory, who is fresh out of drug rehab and takes a job as a babysitter for Teddy, who is their 5-year-old son, to Ted and Caroline. Teddy is an artist and begins drawing pictures for Mallory, which become increasingly more terrifying. Mallory begins to suspect a ghost is at play and sets out to uncover the truth. So I really enjoyed this. I thought the dynamic between all the characters did well for the storyline. I didn't find that I was bored at all, and I actually really enjoyed the final ending. This book definitely played up to the atmosphere. You know, Teddy isn't allowed to go out, so the whole story pretty much takes place at this house. So there's this sense of isolation, but it doesn't feel like restrictive or claustrophobic. And like I mentioned, I wasn't bored. And I think just this house setting, kind of in this almost a little bit remote feeling, kind of just added to that kind of mysterious atmosphere that's building. And what I loved the most is that the drawings are actually referenced in the book. Like, they're actually in the book. It's such a cool touch. And because of that, I would actually recommend picking this up physically and not doing like an audiobook, because I think seeing the pictures just added, it added to that kind of creepiness that's going on that Mallory is feeling, and it was just such a nice touch. Not Good for Maidens by Tori Bovalino. This follows Lou, who learns the way of her witch ancestry to enter a goblin market in search of her Aunt Neela, who was kidnapped. But the goblin market is a very dangerous place. Oh man, I really wanted to like this one. First off, this is a young adult novel, so I think that's probably why it wasn't as dark as I had hoped. For some reason, completely missed the fact that it was a young adult novel. Second, I didn't really care for the characters, which I think was completely necessary for this type of storyline, because your characters are entering and doing something extremely dangerous. Like, I think you need to feel that tension. You need to feel, that fear for your character, because you want them to be safe. You want them, to come back out on the other side of the market. And I didn't get any of that. And we spent so long learning about the dangers of the market, and there's all this foreboding, and Lou spends all this time like learning about the market and how to survive the market, and like I was just getting anxious to go to the market. It's like, all right, people, let's like freaking rip the Band-Aid off and let's just do this thing, It's like, come on already. So yeah. Firekeepers Daughter by Angeline Booley follows Donis, who witnesses a shocking murder that puts her right in the middle of a criminal investigation. She agrees to go undercover to get to the truth and save her tribe. I did really enjoy this book. I especially loved learning about the Ojibwe tribe and culture. Donis is proud of her people and her tribe, and it really shows from the first page to the last page. I understood the strength that she brings and the troubles her tribe faces, and that importance of preserving the past. And I also really liked the mystery part. It was tough to read in spots, but it's a very realistic problem that's prevalent in society today. And the author did a really good job at navigating the topic and kind of shining a light on the impact that it has on the family and on the community. What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. This is a retelling of the classic Edgar Allan Poe story, The Fall of the House of Usher. Alex receives word that his dear friend Madeline Usher is dying, so he races to her home, but upon arrival he sees that things are much worse than he thought. I think that to take on a retelling of Poe, especially a beloved tale of Poe, is a very bold move. But T. Kingfisher fucking nailed it. I love this, and I give it all the stars. This is just a really great mix of body horror and supernatural elements and this little murder mystery. It was gory and weird and lovely. Now I am a Poe fan, but it's been a long time since I read The Fall of the House of Usher. I had actually planned on rereading that before reading this book, but it arrived and I couldn't freaking wait, so I read it. I did opt to buy this as a physical book, and it is stunning. My only wish was that it was longer, but that's just for selfish reasons, because I want to stay in the world just a little bit longer. Screams from the Dark, edited by Ellen Datlow, is an anthology all about monsters. I am actually going to read the synopsis because I think it describes it way better than I could sum it up. From werewolves and vampires to demons and aliens, the monster is one of the most recognizable figures in horror. But what makes something or someone monstrous? That just really sets it up nicely. I really liked this anthology. There were a lot of new authors for me in here, which I will be checking out other work from. I think the stories, the synopsis kind of said it, but it's kind of a look at, like, how do you describe what a monster is? How do you know when something's a monster? Because I think there are definitely people, right? Real people who I would consider monsters. So it kind of takes a look at the supernatural, paranormal, as well as just real people doing monstrous things. My favorites were The Virgin Jimmy Peck, The Ghost of a Flea, Here Comes Your Man, What is Love But the Quiet Moments After Dinner, The Devil, and Children of the Night. Dreamcatcher by Stephen King. This follows 4 friends who decide to have a boys' trip in the woods of Maine. A man stumbles into their camp and they decide to aid this man, which turns out to be like the worst decision ever. Okay, so I will say this was a reread for me, but it's been so long since I've read it. However, I can honestly say that I haven't really forgotten about the alien and this, like, weird journey it takes you on. But, I'm happy to have reread it. It's definitely not a favorite Stephen King book, but the man does know how to weave a very interesting tale. Alien Out of the Shadows by Tim Levin. This is the first book in the Chronicle Alien trilogy and follows Chris and his crew as they are mining trimonite. A shuttle crashes into their mining ship, and they learn what evil really is. Okay, now if you have watched any of the Alien movies, like, this is pretty much an Alien movie in book form. Now, I say that because I think it's pretty predictable. Like, the cover has an alien on it, and the title is Alien, and, like, there's an alien here. So when you find out that the crew lost communication with the other ship, it's like, gee, I wonder why. But, just because it's predictable doesn't mean that it wasn't a hell of a good time. My xenomorph loving heart was very happy. And Ripley, who is the last survivor of the Nostromo from the Alien movie, does come back in this book, and it was nice to kind of see her back in action. Who Goes There by John W. Campbell. So this is kind of a short story collection. I really picked this up because I wanted to read Who Goes There, which is the basis for the movie The Thing. It's about a group of scientists who stumble across, like, an alien and ice, and it kind of ends in pure chaos. So The Thing is one of my favorite movies. The original, of course. I haven't actually seen the... Anyways. But I had never read the book. So saying that, the Who Goes There story is more like a novella, and it is the best of what's in here. The rest of the stories were just not like the sci-fi horror that it starts off with. I mean, kind of like the first novella just starts off with a bang, and I don't know, the other ones just kind of fell short. So it wasn't bad, but if you just pick it up to read Who Goes There, I think you'll be plenty satisfied. Supermarket by Bobby Hall. This is about Flynn, who is writing a book about a store clerk, and so he decides to take up a job as a store clerk to kind of make his book more realistic. But this supermarket isn't quite as it seems. So first, if you're unaware, as I was, this is Bobby Hall, who is, for all of you rap fans out there, aka Logic. Second, this was a freaking trip of a book, and not entirely in a good way. This book 100% like messes with your mind, but I wasn't entirely bought into the story all the way through the book. Most of the characters were kind of annoying, which actually took away from the story. But I will say, I was thoroughly caught off guard by the ending. And the last book for the month of July is Lapvona by Otessa Marshfit. I'm saying this and doing this like it's a book that was a favorite, and it's not. I have saved this for last because I honestly, I have no words. So I'm going to read you the blurb about what this book is, because I think that's really all you should know going into it. Like, the full synopsis is long, but just, like, ignore it and strap yourself in. In a village in a medieval fiefdom buffeted by natural disasters, a motherless shepherd boy finds himself the unlikely pivot in a power struggle that puts all manner of faith to a savage test. Yeah, that's all I'm going to leave you with. Now, I can get behind some weird shit, but this was a little outside of my realm, and I didn't even know I had a realm with a border until this book, because this book is clearly outside of that comfort zone. Let me just read you a passage from the book, just as a little teaser. Now, Merrick, put the grape down your pants and give it a good rub. Oh no, never mind, I have a better idea. Put it up your arse. Not all the way, just get it at the hole and rub it around a little bit. Yeah. And that's like the lightest passage I could find to, show you about. So, there are many others I could read to you. But, I think you're just going to have to discover the trauma and the cheap sex and all the other horrors all for yourself. So, good luck. All right. That's everything I read for the month of July. Drop a comment below and let me know how your July reading went. What was your favorite book of the month? Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.